let's talk about all of these 2000s trends coming back and these rapidly moving fashion cycles. Whenever I talk about something that I'm seeing coming back from the 2000s or the Y2K era, people always freak out. And one of the biggest things that I hear from people is this idea of like, what decade are we in? Like, oh, I thought we were in the 90s, now we're in the 2000s, now we're seeing 2010s, like it's moving so fast. What decade of fashion are we doing? And there's a couple important things going on there. Number one, these fashion trends do not always come back in the exact same way that they did the first time around. Same thing goes for when we were kids. We had 60s and 70s fashions happening at the same time in the late 90s, early 2000s. But more importantly, there are always micro trends. There are always multiple trends, multiple aesthetics, multiple trending, silhouettes, cuts, color palettes happening at the same time. It's just like when we were in high school and there were kids who dressed emo, kids who dressed goth, kids who dressed preppy, etc., on and on. These trends existed at the same time and the same thing's happening now. Fast fashion really relies on micro trends and micro seasons to make money. Their clothes are cheap, so they have to make sure that you're continuously buying new things. Otherwise, they don't make money. So we're going to see these things rapidly being pumped out faster and faster and faster because these companies need us to think that the trends are changing in order to support their business model. We don't need to panic, like just because there are lower rise jeans out there doesn't mean that, for example, you're not going to be able to find a mid or a high rise jean anymore. And seasonality also plays into this. If you think about last year around this time, there was a ton of Y2K stuff happening. The color palette of Y2K was very light, playful pastels, pinks, blues, periwinkle. That lends itself really well to spring. Come winter, we saw a lot of 90s styles come back because 90s color palettes are very winter. The fabrics are very winter, flannel, corduroy, colors like burgundy, mustard, hunter green, it's very 90s. And so it makes sense now that we're headed into spring and summer again that we're seeing a different micro trend pop up, and that is 2010s neons. What's more summery than neon? But I think if you look at the overall fashion trends, like the dominant silhouettes, the dominant styles that we're still seeing, they still look very 90s to me. And I think that that will continue while these other micro trends happen around it. So basically what it comes down to is don't panic and just wear what you like, because at this point, everything's in style all at the same time.